Okay, hi again. No. So today I was just thinking about I won't say relapse, it's a bit strong word, but you could say it like that. But in the past, in my friend group, like I was never the popular girl, not anywhere, not in college, not in high school, not in elementary school, nowhere. But people still knew of me, I guess, in a way. So in college, I probably became known for the girl who smoked weed, and although that was all the kids, and there's kids there that did way worse than that, let me just say. But anyway, for some reason, let me just focus on me. I probably, especially my friend group, became known as the weed girl, the girl who smoked weed, and I drank. There was one time I wasn't like a drinker. Weed really was my thing. I'm more like a social drinker, but in the partying phase of life, there was one night where I went to my friend's place. She had a home like down the street from us, down the road from my other friends that I lived with. And I went to her party, and I kind of basically, with the exception of like a couple of shots to other people, I basically drank a whole bottle of rum, white rum, Jamaican rum. And it was fun. I'm sure I had fun, but I came back to my house that I rented out with my other friends, and I literally vomited. It's disgusting. I literally vomited on my bed and turned around and went to sleep. I woke up and it was like this mess in the bed. It was disgusting. And so it wasn't like that every time I went out, but it just was a missed opportunity for my life. Instead of finishing through with school, which I was passionate about, in school I had this stress. My stress was my weaknesses, and when I was in school was the classes I really enjoyed, I did well in. The classes that I struggled to keep my attention and my interest, I did poorly in. Also, most of my classes I was in, I didn't have friends in my class, and every time I was around people that I have no connection with, I shell up real bad, like as if I'm mute almost, Yeah. So that was the past me basically. And so recently I felt this old version of me was trying to creep up again, and it manifests in me smoking weed again, which I don't think weed is bad. And personally, I will probably do it in the future because, I don't do it around my kids, but I would never do it around my kids. But like if I'm out on a vacation or something like that, probably. So I'm not saying I'm against weed, but when it becomes like a ritual, not ritual, but when it becomes, get down, sweetheart. Thank you. That was real. She said, okay, the first time. Glory to God. But when it becomes like a habitual kind of thing, that is not what I want to go for ever in life, right? Even for sweets. For sweets, because that's another addiction, but another conversation. But anyway, so I felt that old girl was trying to creep up again, and I didn't have friends to hang out with, so I hung out with my mom and my aunt a lot, and so I would smoke weed with my aunt and drink a little bit with my mom and stuff like that. And on the weekends, and I would drop my girls off at my grandma and grandpa's. And I would justify it because, I'm a single mom and I like breaks, right? And I still need breaks. Right now I have no breaks of being a mom. Like, I get no non-mom time. See my girls in the background now. I get no time by myself. Even at night these days. Now, I've managed to sleep in a different room than my girls. And now every night my youngest is making it a habit of waking up in the middle of the night and coming in my room. And my middle child sometimes would join her. But anyway, I'm just saying that so it was trying to creep up, and not in a helpful or useful way. And I had to say no. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth going back into old habits, old ways of thinking, old limitations, and self-sabotaging ways. And so this is what this poem is about. Transformations came without me asking. I saw my old self in passing. The hookah girl, the girl that started smoking weed every day and didn't have ambition. I let school me and never finished. The mistakes of my past came back to bite me, having all this inner wisdom and know how to release it. I relied too heavily on others for my self-worth and my emotional regulations. If things were not going well in my relationships, I'd punish myself with self-sabotaging. I walked away from jobs because of arguments with my ex. I just was focused on all of the negative. A terrible and unfulfilling way to live. My self-worth ended and began with the love did he love me today? Excuse me. That old self I met in passing, she tried to take over. Yes, that old life tried to seduce me. But when it's all said and done, I realize it isn't worth it. That ambition I was lacking made a sudden appearance. Following through with things is a new me, a new territory, and I'm overcoming the obstacles that I placed in front of me. If God believes in me, then who am I to disagree? Just because all of my life I was told success is for others and not me. I'm meant to just be and admire others going after their dreams. Sure, I had dreams as a little girl of people shouting my name and flashing lights, and being on stage. And when I woke up from those dreams, my situation was quite disheartening. A fatherless girl afraid to take risks because every time she tried, she was shot down. People were unimpressed, and so I gave up trying. But the time has come to try again, and try I will, until I reach genuine success. I won't have to steal or cheat. I will not damage my integrity in any way. Those that will accept me, thank you. Those that don't, I'm okay with it. I'm just not your cup of tea. I don't boast great things. I'm humble and sweet, with a quiet strength that will never be defeated. I have love for all, but most of all, I have learned to love myself and don't count myself short. And neither shall you. True confidence doesn't tear others to exalt self. True ambition doesn't step on others on the way to the top. But let each of us live, my handwriting. But let each of us live in our purpose, shining, being the light and the salt of the earth as God designed us, living in purpose and helping each other to thrive, creating communities that are safe and loving and kind. Lifting each other up instead of tearing each other down. We can live and be like-minded while still appreciating our individuality, using the gifts God has blessed us with, being set free from the past and all it entails, because we left it at the cross, even our flawed negative sense of self. Leave it all at the cross where Jesus died to make it so. Nothing ever has to hold you back again, keeping you in bondage to self-sabotaging sin. We are set free, and that is offered to anyone who is not afraid to admit they need help. All it takes is one time to acknowledge God and the Son He sent. Let everyone be a witness to how the love of Jesus will transform any and everyone to be a new creation, living, thriving, and behaving differently. There is no secret to this. Just humble yourself and admit defeat, then allow Christ to work on you from the inside out. By Jessiah Voné. Much love, and we all make mistakes. That's one thing I had to do. I had to get off my high horse. I had a high horse, believe it or not. I know some people are like, what? Because there are some people that think lowly of me, but I was quite judgmental because I didn't have sex for a long portion of my time, from, teenagers would usually do it in teenagers. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. I didn't have sex. And when I was married, I was married and I didn't cheat and I was not divorced and I this and that and blah, 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 and I thought highly of myself, too highly of myself, right? And I was living in an illusion all the while. And I got knocked down off my high horse, and I had to realize I was judgmental of mothers that, talk negatively about their baby daddies. Look at me now. I have a baby daddy. It's not funny. I mean, it's funny if you think about it. But, it took time for it to be funny. It took an adjustment of my thinking for that to be humorous. And, you know, I had to be humbled in this way so I can have more understanding and appreciation for real life people. I almost said real life motherfuckers. But anyway, no. People that have gone through life and not let the disappointments in life end them, right? But they keep moving forward. They adjust as needed. And I had to adjust. I had to adjust because everything as I knew it had changed. And I had relied too heavily on these titles of wife, mother, having my own place even, and all kinds of things, you know, especially but marriage. I had a high identity. My identity was knit and stapled to me being married. It gave me a lot of pride. And when that came to the, you know, and because of that, I held on so tight to it. I held on so tight, and I was judgmental while doing it. And it was an illusion I was in. I didn't have a happy home. I did what I could, you know, for stability and things like that, for my kids not to witness the dysfunction. But it was not a happy marriage. It was not a happy home. And I know now that is achievable and it is possible, but to demand more of yourself. Demand the love that you seek. Like, what I mean by that is, if someone is showing up in your life, no matter how much you like them, if they're not giving you the love that you deserve, it's not meant to be. Don't force it, you know. I had to learn that. And I can say that I'm more relatable to a lot more people now because of the trials and tribulations that I faced and have gone through and am currently going through. Going to food pantries now, like, imagine, like, I see people, like, just the other day I went to a food pantry at a church, and usually I like to make a mean face because I don't like to talk to strangers. And like, ever since, like, I remember strangers want to talk, and I'm like, I don't want to talk, you know. I just, you know, especially with my kids, but that's my excuse now, but, you know, it's fine. But I realized with the kind of work I want to do, I got to talk to people. I got to be open. I have to be welcoming because I don't want to give my, you know, my desires away, but the kind of work that I want to do, purpose-filled work, I have to be open and welcoming and talk to all kinds of people. So I decided to open up yesterday as I was waiting in line and join into the conversations, you know, and it went well. It went fine. And you know, it was funny where the conversation went with them. You know, they started talking about zodiac signs and stuff, and then certain zodiac signs got brought up. But anyway, it's fine. But aside from that, it was really cool to listen to people. There was a woman that had come from Alabama, and she was talking about how Ohio was different, and even how the weather is bipolar and stuff like that. And it was just really funny how the food is different up here and stuff like that. You know, and how these people were, you know, their families, they were connected to farms. It's something I want to be into, is farming, by the way. But anyway, it was just really beautiful, and I was blessed by just random conversations and even listening in, because I didn't do a lot of talking. I did some talking, you know, but I listened and I smiled, and it was pleasant. It was pleasant, and I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to stop shutting people out, and I'm going to do more of just being in the moment, you know. And my kids were running around, and, you know, that stresses me out sometimes, but they, you know, they did pretty good. I mean, waiting in line is hard for kids, you know. So they did pretty good with that. There was a woman with a dog there that kept their attention for a long while, thankfully. And so, yeah, but anyway, all glory to God. I'm going to be more open to talking with people in my environment, because you never know what a conversation can do for someone or do for you, you know. Anyway, we can't let the past dictate who we are anymore, especially when we've actively asked Jesus Christ into our lives, and there is no doubt he will transform it. And there's no doubt that the past will try and come back and seduce you back into old ways and old self-sabotaging habits. But we could say, forget it, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's really nothing compared to what God has in store for us. And everything that won't be perfect. Like, everything will never be perfect when you're a child of God. There's always going to be trials and tribulations because of the nature. It's like turbulence. Like, you're going against the grain. Like a plane going up in the air. There's going to be turbulence, or landing even. There's going to be turbulence because you're going against the grain of things. But that doesn't mean that destination is not worth it. All right, with that being said, I'm going to end this. I love you all. Have a blessed day.